I got a feeling that you got me covered too. I got you covered. I got you covered.
Hi, everybody. How is everybody doing tonight? I just wanted to kind of have this topic, and it may seem a little bit of an off topic to have because, well, Christmas is over with, right? However, it's over with, but it's a good topic to have. And the reason why I wanted to have this topic tonight was because I kind of dealt with this holiday season. Um, and I can tell you that it wasn't easy. Um I never go through New Year's Eve and New Year's Day easily. It does not come by easily. It's not something that I enjoy. I would like to just go to sleep. I'm fine until Christmas. And then when Christmas hits, it's like I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to I don't want to be able to have anything to do with it. I'd like to get done with Christmas when New Year's Eve rolls into play. I'd like close to New Year's Eve anyway. I'd like to crawl underneath the sheets on the 31st and not wake up till the 2nd. Let's just can we breeze through this? And I'm going to tell you why. And I'm going to tell you the reason why it made this year easier. So it would have been really hard for me to do this discussion anytime before after the holidays because I could say to myself what made this year different from other years because this has been a battle I've gone on for years. And what made it different was that I made sure one way or another I was connected. It was connection that helped me be able to keep things on a more even keel this year. So, with that being said, people may be sitting there going, well, why? you know, why is it difficult for you? Well, just a little. I'm trying to load these pictures up in here. The blessing of having my grandfather, uh, I should say my step grandfather, be the most wonderful man you could ever imagine. And he was a very, very loving and gracious man. And I'm very, very thankful that I had the opportunity to be his granddaughter. He wasn't my biological grandfather. Okay. He was my, uh, he was my papu, which is grandfather in Greek. And he was my step grandfather, but he treated me as his own. He treated my mother like a daughter and so forth. And so I was very grateful. My mother's father, uh, who I never had the opportunity to meet. And if you're in the chat, please say hello. I promise we won't bite. Just that simple word of hello and so forth. I promise we won't bite. It won't happen. Um, I never got to meet him because he decided that he was going to leave this world before I was even a thought of my parents' eye. So I didn't have the opportunity to ever meet my biological grandfather. He was an alcoholic. I have some stories from my mother, of course. I'm very grateful that I had those things and I was able to, and hopefully y'all can hear me. I can see I'm frozen. I'm going to hope that that will. Okay. I'm frozen on this side, but I can see I'm moving on that side. We're going to go with the flow, right? Anyway, I, you know, I was fortunate. Now, my grandfather was also somebody that was had multiple sclerosis. So, unfortunately, I did not have a grandfather that could be active in the way that I would have loved for him to be, but he was still a grandfather and participated every place that he could, watch me in the pool and all those kind of things. And having multiple sclerosis meant that he had some challenges that he had to face. Unfortunately, he lost his battle to multiple sclerosis on December 31st of 97. And hi, Misha. Um, he lost his battle with that. And so this is my grandfather. I was on a bike in this picture. If I can get my computer to decide, we are trying to work something out so I can have a computer that wants to cooperate with me. But that's in the works. I got the chair. At least I'm not going up and down on the chair, right? But I'm trying to get the computer to like me. But anyway, my grandfather, was just an amazing man. This is a picture of him. And you can see I was on my bike, right? Hi, Echo. How are you? I was on my bike, and he was just the most amazing man, the most sweetest man that you could just ever imagine. And of course, you could see that smile on his face. He was just happy. All right. Well, now you can hear me till I get double, right? I'm double Mary. I don't need to be double Mary. That's for sure. All right. Can you hear me now? Sorry. Well, I'm going to close myself out of this one because my computer's stuck. Can you hear me now? Even though there's double me. Okay. So you can hear me now. You'll just have to ignore the double. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get my computer to like me, and I don't know why there's no sound. So, anyway, well, we're gonna make it work, but there we go. Should actually exit out of me for a minute because now it did its thing. Anyway, to get back to this, um, let me see if I can get. Okay, there we go. Misha, did you? I hope I didn't exit out of you altogether, but if I did, you can come back in. Anyway, to get back to it, because I can't see that you're in there, so you may have to says participants, but I'll go in there and see if it's back. Um, anyway, to get back to what I was saying, this was very hard. Everybody was celebrating. Everybody was having, everybody was having fun. Everybody was celebrating. All the fireworks were going off and on and everything. And guess what? We were all sitting around a bedside, grieving the loss of somebody very special in our lives. And so I remember going back to my parents' house. I had moved to Indiana at that point, and I went back to my parents' house. And I remember I couldn't sleep. I was having difficulty sleeping, so I went on the computer And I remember back then we had the AOL with the dial up, for those people that remember that, right? And I remember going on the computer and just talking because I couldn't sleep. And okay, good. And so I remember sitting there thinking, somebody said, "Oh, I just had a terrible New Year's Eve." And I'm thinking, "You did?" Well, I just watched my grandfather pass away. And the person said, I don't, he said in, now can you hear me? Now we can get it back on track, hopefully. Get everything back on track. Right. Well, now you can hear me. Now you can hear me. Now I'm back. I don't know why I got reversed all of a sudden, but we'll figure that out. Anyway, I just remember sitting there, saying to myself, how can you sit there, saying you had a wonderful New Year's? I've just watched my grandfather die and pass away. And he said to me, he said, "Oh, well, I didn't have a bad one." And I remember that, I remember years later being in a liquor store, just getting some Asti Spumante, just trigger warning for anybody that's dealing with issues when it comes to that. And I remember that I looked at a bottle of, he used to have a little bit of Chivas Regal every afternoon as a way of just helping, deal with the muscle soreness and all that. And my grandmother had a arm with polio. And so she couldn't pour the bottle. So we had this special thing that helped her pour a little bit in a little cup for him. And I just remember looking in this shop and seeing that. And I burst into tears in the middle of the store. This was 6 or 7 years later after I had married Mr. Blester Crochet. I think this was our first anniversary. And I've had trouble with New Year's Eve all the way forever. I've done my best to keep the circumstances, and there are traditions. We just kind of did that tonight where we put snacks around and we watch a movie and we wait for the ball to drop and we kind of just, snack and watch stuff and kept all the, the traditions going, right? And the mix as I'm turning, everything's just turning up inside. Well, I did the best I could. Well, you know what? Then when you think, okay, nothing else is going to hit, right? In 2001, this is a picture of my dad and me dancing in my wedding if my computer will decide it wants to do what I want it to do. We all had the C at that point. My mother was in the hospital. She came home New Year's Eve. She was home and he was in respite care. He wasn't awake, but we couldn't go see him or be with him because nobody could. I mean, it was like at that point, what else could we give this man? But anyway, it was what it was. And they called me a couple days before and I thought I'm going to lose both my parents at the same time. And we put off Christmas and so forth. And they said, they said, I don't think he's going to make it. I said, you don't know my dad. I said, let my mom come home. I was praying. And then just at that point, when everybody's here, you can go home. And so it was 12:15 at night. And it was 12:15 at night. And I went ahead and I put on Elvis Presley's Battle Hymn of the Republic, right? Put that on 12:15 and I said, "Okay, Daddy, it's time to go home." And we got the call at 12:30, 12:35, somewhere around in there, that he had gone home. All the fireworks are all around me. Everybody, again, like back in when my grandfather passed away, are all celebrating. And I'm sitting there going, what is it they're celebrating about? My dad just died. So this was in 2001. So the reason I chose to pick this topic tonight, when everybody's sitting there going, well, you know what? Holidays have already passed. Father's Day is another difficult time because it's right around my birthday. I don't have a father anymore to celebrate with. He's not here. Everybody else is celebrating with their father. I don't have that anymore. I'm going to tell you the single difference, one word that made the absolute difference this year. And that was the difference of connection. I could have sat in a corner and pretended that, sat in the corner, right? Gone underneath the sheets and said, see, there's the 31st. I'll see everybody on the 2nd. I forced myself to get myself in front of connection. I made myself do it. It wasn't easy. Alfonso came on our channel last night. We had a beautiful New Year's celebration. I had my eggnog, which my dad loved eggnog, so I did a little bit for him. There was no alcohol in it. And I enjoyed it. And at 12:30, I said to Alfonso, which is, I'll put his link here if you're not subscribed to his channel, wonderful young man. Is legally blind and does beautiful on the music. And I said to him at 12:30, I said, I have a question for you. And I said, do you know the Battle Hymn of the Republic? Hi, Brazy girl, how are you doing? And he goes, yes, I do. I said, can you sing it? Or can you play it? He goes, yes, I can. And while he was playing that, I was holding pictures up of my dad. That wasn't an easy place to sit in. And I shed a couple tears. And I went back to remembering what it was like. As all the fireworks are playing, I could hear them outside our house. All the fireworks are going on, and I'm playing the Battle Hymn of the Republic and saying, all right, Dad, it's time for you to go home. All right in, right? All right in. But I forced myself to not hide in a corner. It wasn't going to serve me at all. What was going to serve me well was getting in front of people when I am dealing with life situations, whether it's grief, whether it's a difficult season in your life, whatever it may be. Get yourself in front of people. You're not going to get anything from the corner. You think you are. It sounds great, right? Let's just hide underneath the sheets. You're not going to get anything. I brace you, girl. You're not going to get a dang on thing. And I can tell you this year, we spent a lot of it. I spent a lot of it, and my mom being busy with things that needed to get done on the channel. I didn't have time to sit here and think in my head, right, about the pending New Year's Eve. It came as quick as it went. But I had connection. It didn't mean I didn't cry. It didn't mean I don't miss both of those people. I can think of my papu, and I can think of him and get emotional real fast, real quick. Because he was an amazing man. And I can tell you, having fibromyalgia, I get out of my bed every day and I said, Papu, you couldn't do this without the aid of a lift. And if you've ever seen somebody with multiple sclerosis get out, somebody who's not able to move, you think they're dead weight and they actually go into a spasm. It's very painful. And yet he was just the sweetest man under the face of the planet. Do you not see the smile on his face? That girl had no idea how much that man loved her. As if I was his own grandchild until he wasn't here. And then I got it. See, guys, it's easy to hide in a corner. It's easy to shut off the camera and say, I won't let see anybody. I won't see, nobody needs to see me cry. I'm going to do it. I'm going to let you see. Because this is what this community is about. These are just not names on the screens. You get through it by staying connected. You do not get through grief whenever it happens, whether it's holiday season or not. You don't get through it by hiding in a corner. Nothing happens in that corner, guys. Nothing. This man left this world in 97. It's 2005. Or 2025. Ooh, I'm really off. That was 28 years ago. And I still miss him as much as the day he left. Do you not see that smile on that man's face, looking and saying, that's my granddaughter? And if my mom and dad, or not my mom and dad, if my mom and grandmother and uncle hadn't gone down to Florida, they'd have never met him. God had a plan and God had a purpose. Believe what you would like to believe. See, I didn't know how blessed I was to have him as a grandfather, even though he could not do what he normally grandfathers can do. Man, I was blessed beyond measure. The sweetest man that you would ever meet was him. And his thought of other people was, he had such a gentle soul, guys. Oh my goodness. And I loved it because when he could use that chair, you'll see that he had the chair and he had the dongle. Or the joystick, not the dongle, but he had the joystick. And I loved it because I would hop on the back of he had a battery pack on the back of the powered wheelchair, and we would go down to Publix, which was about a 5-minute, ride. And he'd have his flag up, and we would go. And that would be our availability to go out as a granddaughter and grandfather by ourselves and go out to the local grocery store and ride down on the back of his battery pack on the back of his wheelchair. See, he didn't think he was going to get to be a grandfather. But God had other plans. Life had other plans, and he was able to be. They said the happiest moments is when he married my grandmother and became a papu. And I couldn't say papu. He kept saying, say grandpa. And I couldn't say grandpa. I create and relate. I couldn't say grandpa. Right. And so he said, say papu. And I said papu. Well, my grandmother was very afraid it would become out yo-yo and she wasn't going to have anything to do with it. So she said, you know what? I'll just be Nana. So it was Nana and papu. And my dad. I love him. I am grateful that I was his daughter. It wasn't always an easy relationship. At times, it was a very frustrating one. But I get him more now than I ever got him when he was here. Guys, don't wait to get people when they're gone. Get them while they're here. Understand their past. It's important that we understand people's past. We'll get to understand them in a whole different way. I was not the daughter he wanted by a long shot. I wasn't the one that he thought that I was going to turn out to be, but I was me. And I know he loved me. And I miss him. I'm glad I had the years I had with him with Christina before dementia set in 2012. Because that's when I got to know my dad. That's when I got to see him for who he was. Because he wasn't such an angry person. He was a very angry person growing up. I know he loved me. That was beside the point. But the point of all of this, and the point of trying not to make I know I'm not making a fool of myself, guys. We're not. But is to tell you this. If you want to get through the holidays, if you're dealing with grief, and it cannot have to be Christmas, it could be Easter, it could be Father's Day, whatever it is. Whatever the day is that you're going through, it doesn't even have to be a holiday. And you're going to struggle, surround yourself with connection wherever you can find it. And don't have anybody make you feel guilty for finding it here. If you find it on the YouTubes, then wonderful. We went out to Walmart tonight. And I've had a little bit heightened pain level in the past couple of days. I don't want to go out. We had to go out. I can tell you the roads are far from slippery, are far from a good place to be on. They're snowy, they're icy. We were in the middle of Walmart. The lights went totally out and came back on real quick, right? And I wouldn't travel outside right now for nothing. So where am I going to connect with? I'm going to connect with my Lifeboat family. I'm going to connect here. I'm going to connect through the village. I'm going to connect in other YouTube channels and other people that are doing connections, right? I'm going to connect because there is no way that this girl is going outside tomorrow. When we were coming home tonight, we were turning into our complex, and the car in front of us, I said, Josh, they just spun out. And he was driving about 25 miles an hour. So we're not going out. We're staying right in. So where's the connection going to come from? It's going to come right here. I'm going to tell you a very selfish reason, very small selfish reason why Buster Crochet set up connection for all of the month of December. We knew you all needed it. But there was a small part of me that thought for sure that I was going to come on at one point in time in December and say, Patty's passed away. And I knew I was going to need the support of my YouTube community. Thankfully, she's still here. And that hasn't happened yet. But when it happens, oh boy, am I going to need it. And I know it. I am so blessed to have parents I have. I can't bear to think of life without them. And I understand that. I've told my mother she needs to be at least 150 before she leaves this world. I don't even want to go there. Can't even think about going there. And if you had to ask me who I thought was going to leave work, before, I thought it was going to be my mom, not my dad. Never in a million years. I lost a close friend recently. Connection here in the Lifeboat helps. Well, Sandy, please reach out if you need to talk. I'm here. But I felt that this was important because if you had asked me at the very beginning of December, well, can you tell us how to do this? I couldn't have told you because every year kind of continues to run the same way. Right? I'm good until Christmas is over with. And then I can't wait to get through until January 2nd. I'll crochet my way through. I'll watch movies through it. I'll sleep through it. I'll do something else. But don't remind me it's the 31st and 1st. Within 40 minutes, 2 separate years, those two people left this world and everybody was celebrating. I think if the celebration wasn't happening, maybe it wouldn't be so hard to deal with. But it is. I'm not trying to bring anybody down. I'm trying to lift you all up, whether you believe it or not. If you are going through something, don't do it by yourself. Nobody needs to suffer in silence. It didn't mean that last night when we were on our live stream celebrating the New Year's, I didn't shed a tear. I did. I shed more today than I did over that live stream, but we had the music going. I was connecting. I was talking. I got through it, even though I was hearing fireworks outside. Because I was in the mix of connection. I was with people that I know and trust and love. If people think you cannot build a community this way, you can. Absolutely 100%. And don't let anybody talk you out of thinking you can't. You can do so, but please, if you're going through something difficult and the holidays come around, or a day that you know is going to be difficult and the holidays don't even have to be anywhere near it, do not hide yourself in a corner. Get yourself around people that are going to help lift you up. They're there for you. We're here for you. The magic happens within the chat. Reach out to us through blessedtocrochet@yahoo.com. If you need and you feel as if I need some support, we're going to get it. We're going to do it. I put up a short of last night's music and I said, let's roll into 2000. Let's keep the connection train going. Guys, we've got to take this connection. It isn't the key to fix everything, but it certainly helps make things easier to go through. You know, you've heard the old saying, a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down, right? We've all heard that. Well, it's dang on true if you think about it. If you're going through a difficult situation, the worst thing you could do for yourself is hide yourself in the corner. I don't allow myself to go there too often because when I start hiding in the corner, I start allowing those ants to come back real easy. All right, Brazy. Those ants come back way too quick when I hide myself in the corner. I think things that are not true about me when I go hide in the corner. If you don't have somebody that is in your circle to call that can say, I'm there for you when needed, you better find somebody. And it may not always be somebody in your family. Maybe it needs to be somebody outside of your family that can give you or look at it without rose-colored eyes. Because sometimes people within your family are people that are going through the same situation and circumstance, have a very hard time looking at it other than through your eyes. I'll never forget, and I've told the story before, but I'll never forget the first time my dad looked at me and had no idea who I was. Dad, do you know who I am? No, but it's nice to meet you. All right. And then I looked up to God and I said, thank you, God. He forgot my name first. So that's what I asked you to do. And whatever, if you don't believe that, then you believe what you need to believe. But, I just looked up and I said, thank you. And I said, Dad, it's okay. I'm here. I'm your daughter. And I walked out of the house and I walked next door because we lived side by side with each other at the time. Got in the house and I don't think Christina was there. And I absolutely broke down screaming and crying And my husband was there. He goes, "What is wrong?" And I said, "He forgot my name." But see, the problem is that my husband was just as attached to the situation as I was. It was just as painful for him to watch me just fall apart when my dad forgot who I am. Your dad, he's known you for 40 plus years. "Oh, hello, it's nice to meet you. I'm Chuck." And I'm like, "You have no idea who I am, are you?" And all my husband could do was console me. And nobody else really could do anything else. But boy, I needed to talk. And I don't know if I could have totally verbalized it out of the mouth. Maybe I could have verbalized how much more in a chat situation or a text with somebody. But he was very much as close to the situation as I was. Right? He was in it. He was walking it right along with me. He knew what was down the pike. His grandmother had had dementia. He knew. I wish that I had had this at the time when that happened, and I didn't, because this was not a thing then. And I still don't think people realize that YouTube has a community. I think they think it's just a place where you do watch videos. Oh, there's so much more in the YouTube world. There's friends, there's connections, there's community, there's people that I would not have met without it. How do you get through grief in the holiday season? One word: connection. It's no fancy recipe. I'm not going to put a Band-Aid. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it doesn't hurt like heck. You know it does. And when that year comes up every year of the anniversary, it hurts. Some worse than others. I'm not going to tell you there's any kind of magic sauce. But I'm going to tell you, if you do not surround yourself with connection and go hide in the corner, you're not going to find anything in the corner. You don't find anything in the corner. And I remember that live. It wasn't anything that was it was actually the eclipse. And I remember going into the chat on the lifeboat, and I thought, I don't really want to be here. Probably because I knew if my comment was was heard and seen, I knew I was going to hear about it. I said, I'm just going to put something in, but nobody will see me. They saw me. Tommy saw me. And my thing was seen. And I remember at one point apologizing for dumping on the lifeboat. He said, "No, you don't have to apologize for that ever. If you need to dump, this is the place." Guys, if you're going through something, you have permission to dump. As long as you're respectful and nice, you have permission to dump. I'm not saying that if you come into this chat or maybe another chat, they'll always understand. If I hadn't walked through the soup of dementia, the mess it was, the sadness and heartbreaking and all that was surrounding it, I wouldn't understand what it's like to walk that path. If I hadn't watched a man with multiple sclerosis, I wouldn't have understood that. If I didn't have fibromyalgia, I wouldn't understand what it's like to go through it. But I'm going to tell you this, just because somebody has not gone through it does not mean that they cannot have a good listening ear, and they can't understand, and they can't say a prayer, or they can't give you a good thought, or they just can't listen. They can do all those things even if they haven't walked through it. But please, for 2025, build your community. Build it, embrace it. Let them embrace you. And be able to walk away with a much more powerful way of getting through whatever you do. If you don't put the connection in your toolbox of how to get through things, you need to put it in there. I'm telling you. And you know what I've had to do at times, and I've told this story, I've told it before, on how to do things. And this was given to me by my therapist at one point. Sorry, I'm cold. And I was going through a situation, and she said to me, she goes, Mary, you need to calm yourself down. And she said, I want you to do me a favor. And I said, okay. She said, I want you to put a car in your head, trunk, some kind, whatever it is. And she said, I want you to open it. It has to have a car, a trunk with a car with a trunk. My daughter wanted a horse and buggy, but it had to have a thing on the back that was a little lockbox or whatever, little chest or whatever in the back that you could have a key and you could lock up. Right? Pick something that you can literally put in there, open up, and lock back down. When your emotions get too overwhelming for you, you have permission to take whatever it is, open up your trunk, and put those emotions right in there. Close the trunk and walk away. If you can't deal with them, if you're not in a safe place to deal with them, or you're by yourself, or you need to go in front of a therapist and help you deal with them, then you go ahead and do so. But you have permission to do that. You give yourself permission to do that. This is not a cop-out to do it at all. And I have a whole fleet of cars. I have one for this circumstance and one for this and one for this. And yeah, there's a pink Cadillac falling around somewhere in there. And there's one car right now that I've had to put the entire thing in, lock the trunk, and walk away from it. And say, well, you'll probably never get open again because I'm ready to deal with it. It's a family member that has chosen to disconnect from our family, which is very sad. And I said, well, you know what I've had to do with that? That one's in the lot and it's staying right there and it's locked. And I've dealt with it as much as I can. If the person chooses to come back and participate and try to mend things and heal things, then I'll open the trunk and we'll work on it. But until then, I've done as far as I can and I've had to lock the trunk. And I'm not ready to throw away the key yet, but it ain't coming out anytime soon. You have the permission to do that. If things are too emotional, things are too overwhelming, you take whatever it is, mentally put it in the car, lock it, and walk away. I think sometimes we forget to do that. I thought about that, throughout the time as New Year's was coming up. I did that when it came to just the emotions I kind of get leading up to that when it came to my grandfather and came to my dad. I did that. Doesn't mean that I don't miss these two people. And it's funny because my grandmother died the day after my birthday. And my other grandmother, I can't remember, and I think it was August when she passed away. I kind of remember the year. I remember crying, but I don't have the same kind of level of it's really hard. And my counselor and I are trying to work on dividing that and dividing the day from the people. But I think that there's a correlation to the fact that everybody was celebrating and I'm grieving. There's sounds and noises and ways that there wasn't on June 19th. There wasn't when my grandmother passed away. But there's big sounds of celebrations going all around me on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. And I don't want to celebrate. And I was kind of a little apprehensive going into the holiday season, thinking, am I going to celebrate another one that's going to leave me around the same time? Thankfully, Patty's still here. Guys, we can't plan life. Wouldn't it be nice if we could please have a roadmap and tell us everything that's going on? Can we? No, we can't. But we can certainly have people surrounding us so we don't have to go around this life alone and by ourselves. You do not have to. I can tell you the one difference this year than any other year prior to 97. Connection was all around me. I was doing things for other people. We were doing things for you all on this channel. I was serving you. If you're going through a difficult time, see if you could volunteer someplace for Christmas. Change how you're doing it and see if you can serve other people, right? See if you could serve other people. What can you do to serve? Because when you're sitting there not thinking of yourself, you're not finding yourself in a corner all kind of sad. It doesn't mean that we can't be sad. Of course we can be sad. And I think to myself, well, my grandfather passed away 28 years ago. I should be over it by now, right? People, there's some people in this life that you'll never get over. Your life is not the same without them there. You have permission to grieve, and you grieve for as long as it takes. If somebody is over their grief in a certain amount of time and it's taking you a little bit longer, never, ever feel guilty. Take as long as you need. I think of my dad now, and I have a lot of happy memories that come. I know I will dance with him again one day. I will walk them streets of gold with my grandfather in a way I couldn't do here. And when I think of my grandfather, man, there's tons of memories come flooding back. And I'll often smile. And he'd be the first one to tell me, Mary, I'm okay. Hi, Yoda. I'm okay. And I'm so proud of you. It doesn't mean that. But what it means is if you all don't embrace connection, getting through this thing we call life, getting through whatever is going to face you in the coming year is going to be a lot easier if we're surrounded by people. Hands down, people. You've got to do it. You got to do it. And I thought, let's just do this as an experiment. You know, I knew connection worked. I've seen it. I've lived it for the past year. I know it makes a huge difference. I'm not preaching it because I haven't experienced it. I have. Am I going to do connection next year? Or am I going to go through next year without connection? No way. We will do Christmas connection on this channel every year from December 1st all the way through January 2nd. And then we're going to take a couple days off. And people think, well, you just do December. You know why I've done it through January 2nd? Because I knew January 31st and January 1st out of the entire time was going to be the hardest for me. So I was going to put things in my life to be successful. I think I did it pretty well. I wasn't as down in the dumps as I've been in the past. They were here. They will never be forgotten. But connection made a huge difference. And it can make a difference in your life and how you get through things, whatever they may be. And some of you may think, you know what? If I have somebody who's a friend and I call them up crying, they're just not going to understand. Then you need to find a friend that you can call on the phone and cry. And they're going to be there to listen. They're not going to beat you up for crying. And when it gets too much, what are you going to do? You're going to take all them emotions and put them in the trunk and lock them away for a while till you can go back and deal with them again. Just because let's just, since we're talking about grief, if it's grief and you have it here, does not mean that you need to go ahead and say, okay, let's go ahead and take this entire grief situation and deal with it all now. If you only can deal with this little part of the problem today, whatever it is, grief, whatever the circumstances is, if you go ahead and say, I'm only going to deal with this little section, I can't deal with any more, then you take the rest of it and you put it back in the trunk. Right? Yep. I agree with that. I'm not going to put that up because I don't want anybody. I totally agree. I think that is somebody's own personal walk. We do have a place. We are doing a daily devotion on our channel every day. But I try in the lives to not tremendously put that on people because I know not everybody believes that. And I want this place, when we come together as a live, I want to make sure that we're not making anybody feel as if any divisive. I want to make sure that we can include everybody. That's why we're doing the daily devotions. It's why the majority of the time they're recorded. So, you know, I want everybody to be able to say what they would like to in a respectful manner. I just want to make sure that we're not taking ever our beliefs and, you know, harshly putting it in anybody's face. And that's just, you know, what we're trying to do. But again, I did put up and uploaded the January 1st devotion, so you can go check that out. We do have a private Facebook group for that as well, so that people could come in and discuss in a little bit more detail. But, you know, however you get through, if you get through whatever situation, through prayer, or however you get through it, then you get through it. But don't forget, the connection needs to be part of your recipe. You know, you think about it for a minute. If we're making, I'm trying to think of something. Trying to think of something that we would make. Okay, I know what it is. If we had cheese omelet and somebody brought it to your table and said, okay, here's your cheese omelet. And you went through the entire omelet and said, where's the cheese? Right? We'd be going back to the waiter saying, excuse me, I ordered a cheese omelet. Where's the cheese? Right? We would be sitting there questioning about the fact that there's no cheese in the omelet. Well, part of your recipe for that omelet includes eggs, right? Water, cheese, maybe a little butter in the pan. So when you're putting together your recipe for success or dealing with whatever situation is going to throw your way, add connection in that mix. And you'll find that your cheese omelet's going to taste a heck of a lot better if it actually has cheese in it than without. So let's go into 2025 connected, staying connected, making sure that we're surrounded by connection as much as we possibly can. It is so, so important. And if anything of my story has anything to say to you all tonight, it is how do you get through the season? Grief, holiday season, regular season, day, whatever it is. How do you get through it? You get through it with connection. Absolutely the truth. We are going to take a moment before everybody leaves. And I think there'll be another through the village. There'll be something coming up, I think, around 10 o'clock. We're just going to take a moment and thank our members. It's never expected. It is appreciated. It does help us bring some extra content to the channel. And we're very, very grateful for that.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
So let me ask you this question. The village has done a 24-hour live stream in Thanksgiving. They did a 48-hour live stream for Christmas and New Year's. The boats live streamed. You all have spent a year, and some of you I know very well, have spent a year diving in connection. Can you think of your life before all this wonderful connection came, before the ripples of the lifeboat started happening? Can you see your life in a very different way now? I don't even want to begin to imagine what my life would look like if I hadn't started saying the word hello and diving into this thing called connection. I don't even want to begin to think about what it would have been like if I hadn't hit that record button, right? Oh, it has everything to do, guys, with the connection. Believe what you want to believe when it comes to your spiritual walk. That is between you and whatever you believe. I know what we believe. I know what's on the core of us. And that's where the ultimate thing is going, right? That's where I'm ultimately going to go. But I can say that I thank God every day for the blessings that He has put in front of me with connection surrounding me. I still have plenty to improve. Well, you know what? Don't we all? I still have a lot. I don't think we stop. But dang on it, if we can do it better with each other than we can apart, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. I'm thankful for what has been surrounded beside me. I just think to myself, I'm so much better with it. And I'm thankful for it. I'm thankful for each and every one of you. Remember, you guys are so, so special to us in this community. We're so grateful. Remember, be proud of being yourself. Everybody else is taken. Stay connected, everybody. And remember, we got you covered. Thank you for having us covered. And remember, stay connected. It does make a huge difference. And I can tell you very honestly, the reason this year was easier to get through as the anniversary of this wonderful man, George Arabs, came around on the 31st. And then this man, my dad, Chuck, on January 1st, when those two anniversaries came around, you guys, for the reasons why I made it through a little bit easier than I have had in previous years. And I can't thank you enough. So tomorrow joining us, we're going to be on it. I may be changing the time because I know my other keepers. Is it Tuesday tomorrow? No, tonight's Thursday. Oh boy. No, tonight's Wednesday. Today's Wednesday. My goodness gracious. Tomorrow is Thursday. So I think I'm going to change the time tomorrow because my other keeper does come on at 7 o'clock. So I will alternate the time, but it is our last really solid Christmas connection. We're going to finish out strong tomorrow. I debated whether I was going to upload any more Christmas recipe cookies. I don't think I am going to. I think we're going to kind of stop where we are. I do have a recipe book that I can start adding stuff to for next year, and I think that's what I'm going to do. And we'll do a whole new form for 2025. And we'll start collecting recipe cookies. That was a lot of fun, but I've just been dealing with the pain level's just been up, and I thought, you know what, I'm not gonna do anymore. I thought about it, and I decided we're just gonna keep it where it is. So, thank you all that participated in that hashtag Blessed Cookie Connection 24. We're going to start a new one for Blessed Cookie Connection 25. And I think that I probably will have some new, when it's time to actually start rolling those out, I will have some things that I kind of learned from this year that I want to take on for next year a little bit, and we'll change things up a little bit. But I don't think I'm going to add any more cookies. I think we're going to leave it. I had to redo Kristen's cookie because I realized I made a mistake. But then those cookie recipes, the shorts will be up for people to enjoy all year through, and that's the purpose of it. So hopefully next year it'll be even a bigger turnout, more cookie recipes, and that was just such a delight. Again, guys, it goes back to the connection. It goes back to connection. So I think for right now, I may not add another cookie recipe, but I may do one more tomorrow just to kind of finish out on the second. We'll see. May figure out if I can do something. It'll be more like New Year's Eve-ish, kind of the New Year kind of thing with maybe a New Year song or something. I'll look through the recipes. If I could find one more cookie recipe, maybe for tomorrow, and I'll make it a New Year's kind of follow through. I think that's what I'll try to do anyway. I'll try. We're real quick, just some housekeeping things. We're going to come together this weekend because I will be asking my crew to do something for me. And I need to also explain a little something with our Linktree link so people can kind of understand how that'll work and so forth. So if people are interested, and so we'll probably try to come and do at least a live on Saturday for the request I have. Because if you were affected by this channel, then I'm going to ask you to write a letter for somebody for Q for me. So I'm going to do that this weekend, and then maybe Sunday or something, or Monday, we'll come on and we'll just talk about, we'll connect again and talk about the Linktree thing so you all understand how that's going to, how that will work and so forth. But I thank you all for joining me tonight. Thank you all for the wonderful connection you all provide. You guys are rock stars. I hope you had a wonderful New Year's. I did. We didn't get a white Christmas, but we got a white New Year's because it decided to snow. And if you want to go watch the snowing video, there's one that's on the earlier. It says "Let It Snow," and then Mocha's outside in the snow. But anyway, so we got home safe, and it's too icy to go out. We're gonna stay right here, that's for sure. We will see you all later. Have a great day or night wherever you are. Stay connected. Remember, be proud of being yourself. Everyone else is taken. And remember, we got you covered. Thanks for having us covered. Bye-bye, everybody. And if you haven't hit that subscribe button, hit it. You're missing out on fun if you don't. Love y'all. Bye-bye, everybody.
So proud of being